Okay, let's come to order. Mr. Gill, you had an announcement you wanted to make
Yeah,
while you're remembering?
each of you should have a sheet that says you are invited, or it reads, you are invited to an iPad educational seminar Thursday, May 19, 2011, Rutherford County Board of Education Central Office Boardroom, 12 to 3. Lunch will be provided. I asked Ms. Blanton a few weeks ago to kind of put together a group, a representation of teachers and principals and central office staff, so we can explore what the future of iPads, Kindles, actually mobile phones might be in the classroom. I think you'd be fascinated, maybe the direction that schools will head over the next few years with respect to application use in the classes and these kind of instruments. So if anybody wants to come, please do. It ought to be informative, and I think it'll be good. Amy, you want to say anything with respect to that?
You did a good job.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
I read some article where middle school, maybe even high school kids are much more likely to read on an electronic device than in a book. I don't know if that's true.
But I think when we had this discussion, when you talk about, I don't want to go too far on this, but with respect to ELL kids and maybe kids that are autistic, special ed kids that need individualized instruction, more and more universities are writing applications to accommodate those kinds of needs. And actually, one of the things I found pretty fascinating, I'm sure that's show Thursday, by the year 2013, more people will get their information from mobile devices such as the iPad and the telephones than they will from computers, than they will from television or anything else. It's amazing the direction we're headed. So I think it'd be a good meeting, and anybody wants to come, we'd love to have you.
All righty. Questions on the agenda? What about the consent agenda?
May I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
What is the main criteria to determine whether or not we charge a fee?
Charge a fee? Well, I guess just to accommodate the expense of a particular class. We've had fees for many, 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 many years. Jeff, you want to expand on that?
Well, we have an approved list at the beginning of each year for what fees we will ask that the students and parents pay. And then we have the fee waiver issue for the items on that list.
No, I'm talking
Talking
about
about community.
facilities use,
Yeah.
here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Grant, I apologize.
For instance, there was, I think David Lipscomb was probably having a recruiting,
Yeah.
and it's probably not as involved in maybe some of the other uses of facilities by church or
Actually,
something.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, we kind of studied that about a year or two ago, didn't we, Angel? And came up with some criteria for how we charge. Do you recall?
What we do, what we discussed a few years ago is that if agencies that are for-profit or groups that are for-profit use the facilities, they have to be charged at least $150 a day. So if you see any on the list that are charged at least $150 per day, like your dance studios, those kinds of places. The other facility uses that you'll see, like for churches and nonprofit groups, those are based on what amount of the building they use, if it's a gym, if it's an auditorium, what equipment is being used, and we let the principals do that at their own discretion if it's a nonprofit group. So you'll see a lower fee usually for those groups than you will. But for churches that use a large portion of the building, if they use an auditorium, the restrooms, the cafeteria, 2 or 3 classrooms, it'll be a larger fee because it's a larger part of the building. That's more lights, it's more preparation, those kinds of things.
I guess the one I was making reference to is David Lipscomb University was having some sort of recruitment or meeting anyway. So I'm sure they didn't use that, the facility as maybe a big crowd or a regular church, but then they charge churches, obviously, for the use of it on the same.
Well, what David Lipscomb is doing is they are offering outreach courses at several of our schools. So some of our teachers who are interested in pursuing further degrees can actually take the class at a county school rather than going to the university. And the meetings that you see on this agenda, and there have been a few on other agendas, are just the meeting that will explain when the class starts, what time it is, what to bring. So it's not necessarily a recruitment tool. It's to prepare for the class that they're going to be conducting at that school. And that's a benefit to our teachers and people in this community, so you won't see the fees be as high for those.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other questions on the consent agenda? Okay, number 7.
Financial matters, general purpose schools, 2010, 2011, budget amendments, adult education grant. This amendment budgets an additional $39,800 in the State of Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Adult education grant revenue account numbers 46,590 and 47,590. These funds will be used to purchase computers, software, and instructional materials and supplies for the adult education program at account number 71,600 and 72,600. And we recommend that you amend an additional $39,800 in the State of Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development adult education grant revenue account numbers 46,590, 47,590, and increase the related expenditures in account numbers 71,600 and 72,260 as presented.
Discussion? Okay, next.
General purpose school budget this year has $150,000 budgeted for startup expenditures at Central Magnet School. This amendment reallocates $139,196 of this already budgeted money to the budget lines where it will be expended. And recommendation is to amend $139,196 of Central Magnet School's budgetary startup funds to the budget lines as presented.
Discussion? Donald?
That is a continuation of adding the grade, or how,
Well, we actually gave them $150,000 each of the last 2 years for startup money. Like when we open a new school, we have, we purchase textbooks for them, we purchase furniture, we purchase uniforms, we purchase all kinds of things. And in lieu of doing that at Central Magnet, we gave them $150,000 in each of the first 2 years to make various purchases as needed in the school.
Other questions? Some of the details on one of the tabs there. Okay,
Substitute teachers, this amendment reallocates $359,100 in already budgeted substitute teacher pay to other substitute teacher lines in the budget in order to reflect the placement of substitute teachers this year. Recommend that we amend $359,100 in already budgeted substitute teacher pay to other as presented.
discussion. All right, next.
Miscellaneous revenues and expenditure cleanup. This amendment budgets an additional $271,995 in additional program-related and miscellaneous revenues and uses the revenue to cover various needs in the general purpose school budget. The proposed expenditures will cover $56,179 expenditures related to driver ed program and flow-through revenues. Adjust the budget for school coordinated health, revise the expenditure for safe schools, budget part of this year's Jennings Jones grant, and other miscellaneous donations. Cover leave in the maintenance department for an employee who left. Cover expenditures and transportation primarily related to bus repair. Cover a 2009-2010 purchase order that was liquidated in error, and transfer $68,280 proceeds from the sale of the property at Cedar Grove School to the building program to be added to the funds for next year's elementary school and for the next elementary school. And recommend that you amend $271,995 in additional program-related and miscellaneous revenues and $271,995 in additional expenditures as presented.
Discussion. Tom?
revise the expenditures for safe schools. What kind of revision are we doing there?
On the Safe Schools grant, I don't budget all of the amount
all of the monies we anticipate getting because we don't know the line items. It's a reimbursement grant, so as we know exactly what we're buying in the course of the year, I'll do a cleanup amendment and budget the revenue in and put the I budget the staff that we charge. We know we have that, we know where it is. But the mix between equipment, in-service, small materials and supplies varies each year.
Before you go, number 6, expenditures and transportation.
Yes?
Bus repair, is that camera repair or?
No, sir. One of our school activity buses at Laverne High, they had a mechanical problem and blew, it was about a $15,000 repair, and we agreed to pay half of it. We had the arguing back and forth whether it was covered by the warranty, but they were up, I think in Indiana somewhere, with a team, and the indicators that said there was a problem, a fluid problem, did not work. So it had to be towed back, repaired, all that.
Did we normally,
We have not faced that kind of a situation. Normally, we do not. But, yeah, normally it's a couple $1,000 repair that we face.
that's a good question, though. How do the schools maintain all of their buses now? Because they own quite a few buses.
Some of the expenditures, we are comfortable running through their driver's education reserves. This particular one, we were not comfortable that it would pass muster at state audit. Being charging at driver's ed, that is the source of money where we buy most of them.
We typically don't pay for the repairs. I think that's what I heard,
No.
right? Okay. But we couldn't very well leave them stranded in Indiana. I mean, was that the thinking?
It is problematic, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a good call.
Although
Bring it
Indiana's a
back.
pretty nice state.
But if you're going to school the next week in Tennessee, my
Truancy
home or
laws.
attendance, that's right. Other questions on number 4 here? Okay, 5.
5, revenues. This amendment budgets $5,327,988 in net 2010-2011 revenues. An additional $849,476 in net expenditures, and increases fund balance by $4,478,512. $3,338,849 of the revenue is local, and $1,989,139 is by the state. So in other words, we had an additional almost $4 million in local revenue that we didn't anticipate because property taxes were up, sales tax revenues up. We got another 1.9, almost 2 million from the state for growth, which is why we've got a pretty hefty fund balance, which is why we'll be able to contribute that to next year's budget to get where we need to get. Now, the expenditures are reflected here, and they are $612,584 for textbooks in order to save $778,000 on the K-2 math adoption over the next 5 years by buying those early. Instead of buying a few each year, we'll save up to $778,000 by purchasing all of it up front. $80,000 to the trustees commission due to higher local revenue. $387,000 contract with vehicle owners, fuel price adjustments, and mileage capacity changes. Jeff, let me ask you, if I can, let's not get away from the second. Did we budget next year's transportation budget? Did we allow, I mean, we anticipated fuel being around $4 a gallon when we built that in?
And it'll be a bit lower than that, yes, sir.
Okay. So you think we got it covered? Okay,
Thought we had it covered this year.
yeah, okay. All right, next, and there's some deduct on principal payments on notes, only 3 months of the payment on Energy Central loans, 208. Interest on notes, only 3 months of payments on the energy sensory loans, $21,804. So the total expenditures are $849,476, and we'll recommend that you approve an additional $5,327,988 in net 2010-11 revenues, and additional $849,476 in net expenditures, and increase fund balance by $4,478,512.
Grant?
Do we have any figures as to what we anticipate the total number of students coming next year? You have any, you got anything close to?
We've been growing by about 2.5%. So we'll probably pick up another 700, 800, 900, somewhere in there.
We're gonna need some of this money, obviously, for that,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And maybe even more than that, maybe 1,000. What we pick up this year, about 1,000?
Yeah,
8 something, wasn't it?
820, 850,
Yeah.
depending on the month you looked at.
And there's several commercial projects that are going on
Good
here over
point.
the next several years that could bring an influx of people too.
Right.
So,
You know, when a slow year produces enough students to fill an elementary school, makes me worry when we get back to the
Yeah,
fast years.
yeah.
Sure does.
Discussion, questions on this item? Okay,
B, general purpose school budget change. $4,500 for adult education program equipment needs to be moved from account 72-260-701 administrative equipment to account 72-260-790 other equipment to comply with state reporting, and we recommend that you do that.
discussion. Okay, C.
This is year-end adjustment amendment for the cafeteria fund. It budgets an additional $342,382 in revenues and $342,382 in related expenditures. There's no change to fund balance in this statement, and the motion is to do that.
Discussion? Let's see. D.
Major capital repairs. This amendment reallocates $14,750 in already budgeted expenditures in the Major Capital Projects Fund 177 to the accounts where they will be needed this year for approved projects. The $500 in trustees commission will cover growth in local revenues. The architect fees are for the grease interceptors and backflow prevention at Central Magnet School. The engineering fees for the wastewater system at Kittrell and Las Casas School. We recommend that you amend $14,750 for already budgeted expenditures of Major Capital Project Fund 177 to Trustees Commission, architect and engineer's fee as presented.
Discussion. Grant?
Has there been any response to our conversation of several months ago about the trustees commission that we've had to pay over the years? I know that it was supposed to be some action. Is it, I don't know if it's appropriate, Wayne might shake his head, he knows.
It didn't get out of committee.
I think you just keep paying.
I couldn't hear it.
It failed miserably.
Yeah.
So,
Other discussion? Number 8, I guess, will be tomorrow night. Number 9?
That'll be tomorrow night. Ms. Barnes will report on priority goal number 3, tracking and retaining effective teachers defined by the Board Strategic Planning Retreat on February the 12th, 2011.
Okay, number 10.
Facilities naming of Stewart's Creek High School. According to the board minutes of February the 3rd, 2005, Rutherford County School Board meeting, Stewart's Creek Elementary School and Stewart's Creek Middle School was named. School colors of red, black, and silver were chosen, and school mascots were chosen as follow: elementary school Cardinals, middle school Falcons, and high school Hawks. All of the previous were approved by the board unanimously upon recommendation from committee headed by Mr. Gary Patton and Mr. Grant Kelly, with members including Betty and Lee McLaren, Eugene Mullins, Herb and Ruth Tucker, Connie and Mike Davis, Mark Cole, Steve Sandlin, Connie Sanford, and Darlene Lee Robinson. No recommendation was made for the name of Stewart's Creek High School. And we recommend that you approve the name Stewart's Creek High School for the new high school to be built on Stewart's Creek Elementary and Middle School property.
Okay, discussion. So somehow we just didn't name the school.
It
and
must have been
named
just an
everything else?
oversight, or,
They
Yeah.
just chose not to.
yeah, just chose not to, I guess,
I wonder if I could get my apostrophe at this time.
yeah. Get your
Now that Mr. Patton's gone, my apostrophe. You block that from your mind, I guess.
Yeah.
Discussion? Okay, 11, we have a packet here for,
11 and 12.
oh, there's two, okay. General discussion.
Would it be more appropriate to not have the general discussion on the work session and leave it for the actual school board meeting? I mean, I don't guess it matters, but I just, you know, I don't know which one of these would be viewed more often, would it be the work session or the school board meeting where we take votes. I don't, maybe it's not a big deal,
I mean, to me, the same theory could apply, that if you raise an issue tonight, we could think about it and discuss it more for a while.
yeah, okay.
But I don't feel strongly about it.
Yeah, I don't either, I just wondered.
Terry,
Thanks.
I'm sorry.
No,
You gentlemen?
I was just gonna make a general comment, in regards to the job fair on Saturday down at Laverne High School. That was the first one I've been able to attend, and, I'd just like to commend Ms. Barnes and her staff, Mr. Gill, for, job well done, very well organized, and, there was definitely a lot of people there. And, when I left, I was just you know, walking out the parking lot and noticed different license plates, and so I just decided I'd just drive through the parking lot, and ended up seeing 13 different states, actual cars, license plates, and then I guess there's probably one from every county in the state here, but if you haven't been to one of them, I'd encourage you to go. All the schools did an excellent job with the table, setting up their tables, stuff like that, so.
I'd like to echo that. It was well organized, well attended, and Laverne High School shined like a brand new penny. The facility looked great. The grounds looked, they were well manicured. It's just, just thought it was a positive spirit, experience all around, and I thought it just made Rutherford County look good. So I thought they did a great job.
The recommendations from the policy committee, are they on the agenda, or will we affirm those?
That's a good question. Typically, they're on the next, they might,
Yes, but they chose to put them on the next meeting.
Okay.
They're not on this one.
it'll come to us for 2 readings before they go into effect. That's a good question. It just sort of depends on the timing of how the meetings fall, but,
They'll be on the next one.
okay. Other discussion? How many people came to the job fair, Mr. Gill, do you know, roughly?
800 or 900.
Paul, why don't you, if you have,
Yeah.
if that's okay, if you
Yeah,
can come up and give us a
absolutely.
report? I know I referred a lot of people to it. I know there's a lot of interest in it.
Yeah, we had a large number. We really don't take an accurate count because we don't stop people and delay them getting in by trying to get signatures, but we gauge it on the number of name tags we put out on the tables. And we put between 700 and 800 out, and they were all gone. So I think we had at least that number in attendance. And like Mr. Hodge said, we know we had people from out of state because we took calls for the past couple of months of people flying in for the event or driving in. And so we were represented well throughout the United States for people coming in and seeking jobs in our county, which is a great thing to hear. We know we have people from other systems because they identify themselves in that capacity as well. If you were there, you noticed that the elementary room, we have a K-5 room and then a 6, 8, 9, 7, 12, and, 6, 8, 9, 12 facility. And the elementary room is certainly more in attendance there because those numbers are greater. About 2/3 of the applicants are for the younger positions. And the other 1/3, are certified for high school and middle schools. But we had a large representation of all core areas, special ed, ESL, CTE, so good representation across the board of all subjects.
The market's sort of tight right now, isn't it? I mean, for
It
teaching
is.
jobs,
It is.
particularly in elementary and,
Well, we have so many applicants. People,
right.
when we post positions, we have anywhere from 50 to 150 persons apply for each job.
Donald had a question.
How many, or do you actually employ people that day, or?
We do not. We really, principals have chosen to, they'd rather schedule their interviews away from the career fair so they have a little bit more time to sit with those people. So they schedule interviews maybe that afternoon or maybe this week immediately following the fair, and then they'll send in recommendations to us. We did immediate contracts for a couple of years, but that didn't seem to work out best for our principals, so we allowed them to just wait and send it in later.
I didn't know whether you had mentioned earlier about some hot areas that was, and I just wondered if you kind of latched on to those.
Right, well, some of the principals will come and find Ms. Nichols or myself, and they'll ask us to look at credentials of a candidate that day to make sure they have everything in order to recommend them. So I think they may verbally tell them that they may recommend them for a position pending approval after everything's evaluated.
Other discussion, Terry?
Just one last thing, I failed to mention that, I also like to commend the football team down there. They were parking cars and, greeting people as they walked in, and I'll have to say, they were very polite. Even when I left, they told me to have a nice day and come back and see them, so, like I said, I was pleased to see them out there. They did a good job.
Thank you. Other discussion? Well, I don't know if you've heard about this through the TLN. I just heard on the radio there was some discussion in the legislature about mandating the first day that we could have school. What's the status on?
Either, I believe the third Monday, I believe it's the third Monday in August would be the first day you could start school, which would, I've already
That's a
called.
bad idea, isn't
I
it?
called our legislature and said,
Good.
please don't do that to us. First thing it does, it's either the third or fourth Monday. They're discussing both, the fourth, yeah.
Phased in over.
Yeah. Yeah. But what it does, it obviously limits to some degree the number of days before testing. Secondly, it probably excludes systems or districts the opportunity to have a spring and a fall break, or at least certainly a fall break, and maybe reduce the time of Christmas break. Either that, or if you have those, you don't get out till mid or late June. I don't understand why they're dabbling in that. You know, most systems are, over the last 5 or 6 years, are gravitating the other direction, move up, where they'd have opportunities to have a fall break up the year, also give you more days for preparation. So I certainly hope that it fails. And
The year-round calendars are exempt, is that correct?
yeah,
And it might be just to protect, the testing schedule, we may have to consider something, down the road.
Let's hope that doesn't pass.
Well,
that
I hope so.
should be a local matter and,
Yeah.
anything else? So we'll be back here tomorrow night for our meeting. We're adjourned.